Hello, I'm Dr. Hassan Tohid once again with an amazing topic as usual, steps in research process. Steps in research process. What is a research process? As the name suggests, is the complete process that anyone should follow when he or she is working on a research project. If you have been given a task to complete a research project, just follow research process steps. Now, if you see different teachers, different authors, different scientists, they all have different steps of research process. But overall, they all look similar. So it doesn't matter which one you like, which one you follow. Almost all of them have almost similar steps and eventually the similar results. So let's talk about this. So what is the research process? As you know, it's the process of research, how you conduct your research. It doesn't matter what kind of research you're doing. So that's called research process. Now, what are the steps? Some people rely on 8 steps. Some people rely on 10 steps. Some people rely on 7 steps. It doesn't matter. I'll give you a brief idea of the steps. Step number 1, if you have been given a project, a research project, if you are a student and embarking on PhD, a doctorate degree, and you want to conduct your own research, you can follow this. If you are a scientist who wants to conduct his own research in his own lab, you can follow this structure. If you are a new researcher who wants to conduct his research, then you can follow this. If you are any kind of researcher, and it doesn't matter what kind of research design you want to do, just follow this and you will enjoy the process. So let's talk about this. The first step is, of course, the topic selection. When you are embarking on a journey to write a research project or write a research paper or conduct a research study, what is the first thing? If you don't have a topic, you can't move forward. So the first step is always deciding a research topic. And I'll go a little deeper into each of these steps so that you can get some idea of how you do it. So the first step is the topic selection. Now, how do you select a topic? Select a topic that you are passionate about. Simple formula. Something that you love the most. Don't select a topic that you cannot write or you cannot conduct or you cannot do. Stay away from topics that are boring to you. Choose something that is interesting to you, that you are passionate about, so that you have energy and you enjoy and you don't get tired and you produce wonderful results. We produce wonderful results in something that we love the most. So always decide a topic that you're passionate about. If you decide a topic just because everyone else has chosen similar topic and you don't have the internal excitement for that topic, then you cannot produce wonderful results, highly likely. Maybe luckily you may produce wonderful results, but imagine how much are the chances. If you are working on something that you don't love, how much are the chances that you will produce wonderful results? Chances are very slim. But if you choose a topic that you're passionate about, you automatically produce wonderful results. So the first step is deciding a research topic. Once you have decided a research topic, the second step is identify a research problem. Every topic can have some kind of problem. What problem? Maybe a financial problem that your country is facing. Any topic related to, for example, there is a topic related to tuberculosis. So what can be the problem? The problem could be the loss of lives. The problem could be lack of availability of treatment. The problem could be lack of doctors. The problem could be lack of finances. Let's say the topic is the COVID-19. So what are the possible problems? Think of the possible problems. And you can choose any of those problems as your main focus of the problem that you will address in your paper. Or can you address multiple problems in a paper? Absolutely you can. Can you address multiple problems in a research project? Absolutely. So what are the possible problems for COVID-19? The health problem in adults, health problem in children, health problem in pregnant women. Another problem is the financial problem. Do we have enough money to tackle this pandemic? Do we have enough vaccines to tackle this problem? Do we have enough funding to handle COVID-19? Do we have enough doctors? Do we have enough hospitals? Do we have enough beds in the hospitals? And that has been one of the most famous problems, right? One of the most common problems, that the hospitals did not have the beds available in many countries. In fact, most countries. And you can think and brainstorm, and you can think and come up with more problems of any research topic. So what you need to do is identify a research problem. How do you identify a problem? By brainstorming, using your mind, thinking, and always think on paper. Once you think on paper, the next step is you talk to different people, your fellow colleagues, trustworthy friends, family members, trustworthy people in the field that you are working in. Talk to them, get more ideas. Maybe there are some other problems that they may have identified and you have ignored. And it happens all the time. We are not perfect. Nobody's perfect. Do you think when I decide my research topics, I always come up with the right problem? I always identify all the possible problems? No, we always need other people. Nobody is successful alone. Nobody can become successful alone. We all need different people in our lives. We all need people. We all need each other. So there is no shame and no embarrassment in asking other people what is their opinion about it. You can ask that, do you see any other problem that I may have ignored? Ask a fellow colleague, and your colleagues will be able to tell you. So the second step is identify a research problem. Once you have identified the research problem, the next step is identify a research question. Yes, come up with a research question. We cannot move forward in research without a research question. So come up with a research question. And usually, what are the formats of research question? If you are in clinical sciences, then your research format will be PICO question. P for population or problem, I for intervention, C for comparison or control group, and O for outcome. But if you want to study something related to exposure and risk factors and the outcome, then your research question will be a little different. It will have the P, but it will be PECO format, not a PICO format. P as a problem or population or patient. E is the exposure. Now here we don't have intervention, we have exposure. E for exposure, C for comparison or control group, and O for outcome. And then, of course, we have TT, PICO, TT, two small t's, or PECO, TT. So it's a time of the study, how much time you want to mention in there. And the next thing is the type of study. So this is how you decide your research question. Now, if you are a non-clinical person, you are in any other field, then you see how many things are relevant to your field. In PICO question, what is relevant to you? Problem, yes. Intervention, yes, it can be. Comparison, yes. And the outcome, yes. Sometimes you don't want to add any intervention, but interventional studies are also in other fields as well. It's just not a clinical trial, but intervention is anytime the scientist manipulates the environment. So see which field you belong to and what is your research question. Think about it, do the brainstorming. And about research question, do you do brainstorming with team and other people and your trustworthy fellow colleagues? Absolutely. Always get a second opinion. Always get a suggestion. Always get ideas. Now, remember, once you have identified your research question, the next thing is identify your research design. Of course, if you have identified your research question as PICO, then you have already identified research design. And if you have decided PECO as your research question, then you have already decided your research design, that you want to keep observational studies as your main focus, or you want to do observational study. Now, make it clear what kind of study design you want to have. There are different kinds of study designs. We have in vitro research at the bottom, right? In the study design pyramid, I have shown you the pyramid so many times before in my videos. So study design pyramid, at the bottom, we have in vitro test tube research, and then comes the animal studies, and then the ideas, opinions, editorials, then the case reports and series, and then comes the cross-sectional studies, and then the case control studies, then the cohort studies, and then the clinical trials or randomized control trials, and then the meta-analysis and systematic reviews on the top. So this is how the pyramid is structured. So all of these are study designs. You can choose any of those study designs. And if you are a non-healthcare person, then choose any of the study designs that are relevant to your field. Usually in vitro and animal studies will not be relevant to you if you are not related to biology anyhow. If you're related to finances, if you're related to any other field, engineering, then see what study designs are relevant to your field. So now you have identified study design. You have your research question. You have identified your research design. Now what is next? What is next? Once you have identified your research design, now it's time for data collection. Now, data collection is a kind of complicated thing, right? So how do we define or decide what data should we collect? Now remember, if you have decided to write review articles or conduct a meta-analysis or conduct a systematic review, then the data will be secondary data. You will be relying on previously published papers. That's your data. But if you have decided to do a clinical trial or observational studies or in vitro studies or animal studies, you will rely on primary data. You will collect data in the lab or in the field, in the hospital, and you will also collect secondary data as well, so that you can have some literature review added to your paper as well, because you want to compare your findings with some previous findings. So remember, I'll repeat again, this is very, very important. Always remember, if you are writing review articles, your 100% data is your secondary data, previously published papers. But if you are working on any other design, then you will conduct something in the lab or the clinical or lab setting. You collect data. Half of your data will be primary research data, and the other half will be secondary data, because you want previous papers as well. So this is very important for data collection. Once data collection is done, what do you do now? Analyze the data. The next step is analyze the data. Once you analyze the data and you do the interpretation of your data, now it depends what kind of analysis, what kind of interpretation you want to do of your data. It depends on what kind of data you have, but just organize it and analyze it. Once you have that done, now the next part is the writing. The writing of your manuscript begins once you have analyzed your data. And the writing is the last step in research process. And for writing, you can see my other videos. I have mentioned writing in detail, that how do you write your research paper. So I'll repeat again quickly the steps in research process. The first thing is the topic selection. Once you have decided your topic, the next thing is you identify a problem. Once you have identified a problem, then you decide your research question. Once you have decided your research question or hypothesis, let's say, the next step is decide the study design. Once you have identified your research design, the next step is you analyze your data, and the last step is you write your paper. So these are the steps in research process. Listen to this video again, watch it again until you grasp the concept and start working on your research project. If you have any question, comment below. I'll come back and reply to you as soon as I can. Thank you. Keep learning, keep watching.